Electricast.
The kids are still at practice, and I have no idea what's for dinner.
You can get a rotisserie chicken and 2 sides for just $15 in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Who said that? Who's in my house? Don't play with me, because I'm not the one.
It's just your friendly Walmart announcer. This is a commercial.
Oh, okay. You were saying dinner for a family was just $15?
Yep, it'll be at your door by the time you get the kids home from practice. Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Subject to availability, restrictions and fees apply.
Now that was a helpful commercial.
McDonald's meets the Minecraft universe with one of 6 collectibles and your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Now available with a Minecraft movie meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time, a Minecraft movie only in theaters.
On this episode of the SNSW Podcast, it's time to perform an autopsy as we try and dissect the cause of the Boston Celtics elimination from their 3rd Eastern Conference Finals in the past 4 years. We'll also break down Week 3 of the NFL and revisit which teams are contenders or pretenders as we enter the quarter mark of the NFL season. We'll also hand out this week's Forrest Gump Award with all the pomp and circumstance. But first, this episode is being brought to you by Boxo Crafts. Boxo is an arts and crafts focused kid subscription box. Boxo is a parent-run company that combines creativity and convenience in one monthly package, delivered right to your door. Boxo's premier box, Boxo Holidays, contains 4 separate art projects to get you and your family into the holiday spirit. Whether it's Halloween, Hanukkah, or Easter, they've got you covered with holiday fun. Boxo, we can't wait to see you create. Check out boxocrafts.com and exclusively to our listeners, enter promo code SNSW for 10% off your first order. That's boxocrafts.com, promo code SNSW. The SNSW Podcast is a 1-hour weekly, 2-hour monthly podcast breaking down all the biggest news in the world of sports with a New England flavor. If this is your first time finding us, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever you generally get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review. We always appreciate your feedback. Follow us on social media. All of our links will be in the show notes. And now, without further ado, this is the SNSW Podcast. But it's all relative.
Thanks, Craig. My name is Joe Malkin, and I'm here this week with Dave Clark and Rayshawn Buchanan, and of course, the best producer that we could find, Craig D'Alessandro. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, doing real good, man. So good.
The more abuse you hurl at Craig, the better I do.
We don't, Dave, we don't want to hurl any abuse at Craig. He does enough for us already. So, guys, welcome into episode 9 of the SNSW Podcast. We have a lot to get to this week in a small package. So let's get right into it. The Boston Celtics are dropped out of the Eastern Conference Finals on Sunday night to the Miami Heat in 6 games. What are initially our takeaways from the series and the Celtics team?
So first, I want to give credit to the Miami Heat for getting the job done. They were the tougher team. They were the stronger team. And at the end of the day, they were more unified. So, and I can end it with that. However, no Giannis, no Kawhi, no LeBron. There was no excuse for this Boston team not to get it done this time around. And it's disappointing. Actually, I'm actually going to start further. I think this is actually worse than the loss that we had to Milwaukee last year, mainly because they were the favorite and they should have got the job done, but they didn't. And, you know, hopefully they learn from this. But right now it stings, it sucks, and it's unfortunate that they went out this way because they basically quit. And that's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's just very upsetting. Like the start of the show, I know we do a sports podcast, and Joe's like, a reminder, Dave, the Celtics lost in 6 games to the Heat, as if like every Laker fan I know isn't reminding me of the same thing. Same story, different year. It's all I've heard for the past few days. And it's not wrong, but it's also a little bit not right. I mean, we still have this young core. There's still a massive upside. I totally agree with Ray, though. Like, it definitely hurts. It's definitely a kick to the nads. I thought we were going to do better because there was less competition in front of us. But then it turned out there wasn't really. Like, I do think that the Heat were, you know, on paper, okay, Giannis wasn't there, sure. No Kawhi, great. But, like, Bam came out of nowhere. Jimmy Butler, you know, playing out of his mind. It's like, on paper going in, sure, we should be able to get through. But, like, that Heat team did emerge as, like, a legitimate a legitimate team. And I'm free to say that because Mike isn't here to go, like I said.
That was actually going to be my next point. As you said, that was that, Mike said that when they were in the midst of that series with the Bucks, right?
He called it perfectly, honestly, because they are all the things he said they're going to be. They're tough, they're gritty. They were beating our asses on hustle plays, which is the most frustrating part of that series, is that like every hustle play we're getting beat on, which is like so not our identity, so not our MO. And like that, I mean, all that stuff just turned out to be true, so credit to him.
So going back to, you mentioned Jimmy Butler, and he's clearly the biggest name on the Miami Heat. Rayshawn, is he big enough to you to have beaten the Boston Celtics? And I ask this because I have a take on this, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. It was Jimmy Butler enough of a star for you to beat this Celtics team?
I actually have to go back to a take I made a few years ago when a team that he was on before, the Chicago Bulls, had went up 2-0 against the Celtics in the first round. And I remember saying to a friend at the time, I said, he's a talented player, but I'll never be scared of a Jimmy Butler-led team. Now, fast forward to 3 years later. Now, I still really wasn't fearful of a Jimmy Butler-led team, but however, when you have guys around you that are willing to be in their role and really flourish in their role, so Dragic flourishes in his role. Tyler Hero really has stepped up in that series and said, hey, you know what? I'm someone that can shoot the lights out. I'm someone that's going to become a better defender. And, he flourished in his role. Same thing with Bam Adebayo. I said during our group chat, he really reminded me of a younger Al Horford. And, he may surpass what Al Horford did, but I mean, as someone that can pass like him, that can rebound and score, like,
that's
his
what happened.
supporting cast is just much better, So that's what happened. Like the evolution.
Bam came out of nowhere. It's not a Jimmy Butler led team that beat us. You know what I mean? Like the best player in the series was Bam Adebayo. So
Dave, to interrupt you real quick and go off of what Rayshawn said, because Rayshawn played into my point perfectly, is that I agree with you, Dave. Like I want to put that out there first, but I don't think Jimmy Butler was given enough creative license with Chicago. Maybe that's because he was younger, but we've said it multiple times. And after watching this Heat team for 6 games, because all of us sat here and watched every minute of these games in this series, you really can't give enough credit to Pat Riley for rebuilding the Heat after the Heat big 3 left, but also to Eric Spoelstra for how good of a coach he really is. I thought that he was a puppet when LeBron was there, but I think maybe he was, but Pat Riley has really groomed him. Right. But Pat Riley has groomed him into a very good coach. And here's where you played into my point, Ray, and why I asked the question. I think Jimmy Butler was the best player on that court because of who he is as a leader rather than who he is as a talented basketball player. I think he was a floor manager in that series, and I think he is for the Miami Heat.
I mean, I think the Heat were super fired up, and I think they were more fired up than we were. Was that Jimmy Butler? Maybe. I just don't feel like we got beaten by Jimmy Butler.
Right, not singularly. That's what I mean. I just think that he's the glue that kept it all together.
Maybe. I mean, I think that he didn't fit into a lot of places, and a lot of people were starting to write him off because he was basically like calling people out everywhere he went. But you find a good spot for him where people can take that and the right attitude and the right culture. And like, it seemed like everybody was clicking on the same page on that Heat team. Like the fact that we got outworked is like I said before, is like the worst part of it. And like Jimmy Buckets works, like he is a superstar, but he gets back on defense. Like they played that great zone that just obviously knocked the stuffing out of us, like totally killed our stamina and our momentum going into that game 6. And it's like, he is a big part of that, but at the same time, Bam Adebayo to me was the best player on the floor. And he was the best player he was the best player in the series, and he emerged in that series, and that's bad luck, because we knew going into this season we were going to have matchup problems at the big spots, and you could just see Tice just getting absolutely mauled, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. Like we knew coming into this playoffs we were missing a piece still at big man, so I'm not ready to write this team off for that reason, but it does worry me that we got outworked.
Right, but that's the issue I had too, because Tice obviously gets in foul trouble every game that you could think of, right? It's
because he's so undersized, right? Because he's in there,
right? It's that, but also too, right? Exactly. So that's part of it. But then, and this is where I have to, get on Brad Stevens in this regard. So Grant Williams later on in the series became a lot better guarding the pick and roll when they put Bam in that situation. So, and even though Brandon's 6'6",
we figured that out too late though.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But even when they did figure it out, it was like, okay, you have to stick with it. And there's too many times that young players. Yeah, exactly. There's too many There's too many times when either Grant Williams or Robert Williams was out there for a short stint, and he didn't let them play through their mistakes, and that's a problem, right? So if you're counting on these guys to be a major component, because like I said, when Hero got hot, Spo was like, oh, he's hot, we're giving it to him. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, Grant Williams or Rob Williams wasn't going to go get you 25 or 30. That's not what they're on the floor for. But if they could get you a few stops, if they can get you a rebound here and there, if they can get you a hustle play, then they've done their job, because that's their role in this team. And the fact that they wasn't allowed to do that on a consistent basis, not only in this series, but really throughout the playoffs, really is an indictment to what Brad Stevens did as a coach this playoff. So
where do you think that thing comes from, of the forcing? Like, it seems like it's either Smart, Tatum, or Brown, and sometimes Kemba, even though he fell off a little bit in the playoffs, that just get a green light to force their way back into the game, and they get to just put up shots to get themselves back into the game and get hot. They all have the green light on that, and it's very frustrating, because I think it's the other side of the coin to what you were just saying, Ray, because it's like, yeah, we need to let our role players get hot and do work for us, especially when you want to go deep in the playoffs. You have to have those guys step up. And we got this. Miami did this to us before with a totally different squad. They let the role players beat us. You know what I mean? Because we were throwing bodies at their superstars. But where does that come from? Is that Brad's fault, or are these players just no, this is our team, we got to get back in? It doesn't seem like it's an instruction to me.
It does. Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I think it is, because I think they're too stiff. You watch that, and I mentioned it while we were watching these games multiple times, where there's 4 guys out on the perimeter, there's 1 guy down low, and it's usually not even the biggest guy on the court, which is not how that should be.
For us, for the C's?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we have to play like that, because we're so much smaller than everybody underneath the basket.
And I understand that, but everybody looked stiff. Everybody looked like they were being told when, how, and where to be on the floor at all times, and everyone, as you mentioned, was given the green light to shoot a 3 or shoot a deep ball or whatever it was. And you mentioned role players, but that's not role playing, right? That's everybody doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. And to go along with this point, Marcus Smart took 22 shots in
That's
game
absurd.
6.
That's absurd.
And,
I love
and
Marcus
Kemba
Smart,
only
but
took 14.
Yeah, that's completely ridiculous. That's what I'm talking about, though, is that hero ball stuff that they all start doing. It's there's too many guys. We have too many guys.
Absolutely.
Syndrome. You know what I mean? It's it's either going to be Tatum or it's going to be nobody at this point. So everybody needs to just get on the same page with that. And it's almost the same thing that happened with Kyrie. I mean, I know there's a ton to blame for Kyrie, but the sharing of responsibility has been a constant theme in this team. What do you?
Yeah, there was only one time I feel like that we had a legit pecking order, and that was the IT era, right? Because you knew the ball was coming to IT. Maybe occasionally Avery Bradley, maybe Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder did hit a few game winners while he was here. Al Horford had a couple of game winners, but you knew when IT was getting the ball, king of the fourth, that was his nickname.
Because he was clutch.
Yeah, because he was clutch, right? But once we got Kyrie, the team was much deeper, and it was we can just, we could spread it out. But Kyrie should have been that closer. But there was too many times where it was just we'll pass it there. Now, in theory, ball movement is what Brad Stevens wants to do, right? That's something you hear him preach. But at this moment now, with him being 7 years in, I really think it's a matter of, are the players that's there going to buy into what he's saying? Because when they do buy in, they look damn near unbeatable. So when the shot doesn't fall, it's now let's go back to ISO. Let's drive, and then we kick out to a corner 3.
Which would be fine. Which would be fine if Tatum was at his alleged ceiling. Because if Tatum takes a game over, like we know he can, that he did less and less as the series went on, because he was against more like better and better players and they were figuring him out a little bit more. But if he can get that together, it doesn't matter as much, right? Because it's like, just get the ball to Tatum. It's like you said, pecking order, man. Like the 08 Celtics, I know we always harp on about the 08 Celtics, but the 08 Celtics figuring out their pecking order among like those three superstars, fourth like sprouting superstar, is a big part of why they were successful, because they all trusted each other and they all like deep down were like, Ray gets the shot in this situation, Paul gets the shot in this situation. We do not have that. It looked abject out there. Like who the ball goes to was just not decided on and not talked about enough. And like ball movement, sure, but like there are going to be ISO situations that they have to just get figured out, you know? Right.
And I'll add to that, right? Because obviously, 2020 is a year that we've never seen before, as far as just having this long of a break in the season. But I think we started to see that happen in February, right? So when Tatum found out that he was becoming an all-star, he went absolutely nuts in late January, early February. Now, something tells me that if they was able to still keep playing, I feel like that pecking order would have been solved, and it just would say, look, he's the guy. This is it. He's getting 35, 34, 40-point games against the best teams. Like I saw, he had 41 against the Lakers. He had 39 against the Clippers in early February. Like, he was starting to show, like, look, if you give me the ball, I could take you there. But I don't know. Maybe it's just like, it was a doubt that crept in. It was
why didn't they bring
habits?
that back?
I don't know what it is, but it reverted back to old habits, as opposed to what happened in February, where he started to say, okay, I am the best player. Everyone get out of my way.
I think fatigue was a factor. I think that those are factors. I'm not saying they're not, but I think fatigue is a factor too. Like Tatum was the number one for minutes played on average in the playoffs in the bubble. So I either across the whole bubble or just the playoffs, he was like number one for minutes played. So that to me means we're throwing a 20. We have to always remind ourselves. Like I know it's a running joke, but like he is not a veteran yet to the point where we can like really rely. Like LeBron didn't win anything for his first 6 years. I'm not saying he's LeBron, but like bear with me. He's still a kid. And, there's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders in Boston, and almost too much maybe, because I even caught myself being furious at him for, you guys remember I was yelling about it on our Zoom chat, but for only scoring 3 points in a half, because I was so angry, because I'm thinking back to that time, like the All-Star break, or leading up to the All-Star break, where he just went every single game. He looked even better than the last game. And yeah, all this stuff happened. Sure. Like we had to shut down. But to me, that made him the guy in my head. Like I had decided, and because it seemed like he had decided, so he didn't step up and prove that. And that made me really mad. But we have to remember that he's still a kid, so we don't break our shiny toy here. You know what I mean? Like his ceiling's still super high, so it's tough. I know it's a tough loss, but we still do have a young team. I know I don't want to keep saying that forever, but you know what I mean?
Well, let's change gears slightly here. And you guys talk about the age of the team, and I think part of the problem, just from my standpoint, I think part of the problem is that all these guys are so close in age, with maybe the exception of Gordon Hayward. There's a couple of older guys, but everybody's fairly young. I mean, Smart's only been in the league for 6 years. Part of the problem is that they aren't playing the roles, right, Dave? That's what you said. And they're not playing the roles. And the role of Marcus Smart, sure, we saw him come down the court and hit 5 threes at the end of a game, and that's fine. But that's not him. He was just hot that day, and that's just the way it goes, right? Not every pitcher in Major League Baseball is going to throw a no-hitter, and sometimes you find one, a blind squirrel finds a nut, right? Not every Trent Dilfer in the NFL is going to win a Super Bowl, but sometimes it happens. So we see these issues with the team, and I think we've kind of talked about a lot of their flaws. And Rayshawn brought up Brad Stevens being in his 7th year, and he just signed a 5-year extension that's going to put him here for a 12-year stint overall if he doesn't leave. And Ray, you mentioned some of those teams during the first half of his 7 years here that did have the role players. So 2 questions. Do they have a fundamental flaw? And is Brad Stevens the answer?
Yeah, they have a fundamental flaw, which is that they don't have a dynamic big man that can keep up with all the dynamic big men that are spread across the league right now. So there's no way we win unless we have somebody that's a lot better than Daniel Tice at the 5, in my opinion. So is it a fixable flaw? Absolutely. Like we have these 3 picks in the first round. We have, sorry to say it, Gordon Hayward. like maybe somebody takes that contract off our hands and we can get someone. I heard Sabonis was some scuttlebutt. Gordon Hayward, and I know this has been, I hate to bring up this hot button issue, but Gordon Hayward's been a lightning rod of conversation in our group. He did not show up in Game 6, Ray. Like, he did not show up at all in Game 6. And you have to ask yourself, like, if his performances stay this inconsistent, you got to move him on. He's gone after a year anyway, right?
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I wrote down something I saw earlier. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Jared Weiss, but he's a part of the Athletic. So he talked about Indiana wanting to move on from Oladipo. So I actually saw a trade that this fan wrote, but I thought it was pretty cool. So it was going to be Hayward, Tice, Langford, and the 14th pick to Indiana for Oladipo and Miles Turner.
I'll do that yesterday.
Now, to be honest, yeah, exactly. I do that. Hey, you need me to meet you at Logan, buddy? I'll pack your bags.
I'll drive Gordon Hayward to the airport right now.
Yeah, exactly. Uber, whatever you need. Like, see you later. So, and like I said, and I've been the biggest Hayward supporter in the group, but it's just like that type of deal. See you.
That's
so
yeah.
That helps for him because he is from Indianapolis.
Right. And just had a baby, like, hey, be a
smaller
family.
market.
See you later.
Sure. Smaller market. He'll have time to come back from his injury somewhere else. Maybe somebody will take on his contract. And it's funny you mentioned that, Rayshawn, because I wrote down the same exact thing because I saw the same exact trade proposal, and I got to put this in here. And I should have known you had seen it, but I was trying to be that guy, right?
But Joe, to your question, is Brad Stevens the answer? Was that your question?
Well, that was the second one.
I can answer that too, though.
Let me say this though: if Gordon Hayward gets shipped out, a big part of Brad Stevens' like negative downside goes with him because there is a huge thing that Brad doesn't see when Gordon Hayward's not playing well, and he always gives him more rope and more minutes than another player in his position and in his context might deserve. And it's just a fact, which is fine. I mean, they're together in college. Like, I get it.
A lot of coaches
get that baggage
have that,
out of here.
Right? Yeah, exactly. A lot of coaches have that bias towards guys that they've either coached at the college level or they've had success with in the past. And you're just, not everybody is going to have success everywhere. We've seen
you guys can have beers when you're not on company time. You know what I mean? I agree. I don't agree to see your relationship blossom on the court. You know what I mean? So it's like, just figure that out somewhere else. So I'm not saying you agree. It's just like, stop it.
So we all agree you trade Hayward for Oladipo, and I know there's more to the trade.
Not just him though, because
no,
Miles Turner.
That's what I just said. No, I understand. But what I'm saying is you trade Hayward and those other pieces, including the 14th overall pick in the draft, for Turner and Oladipo. Sunday night after Game 6 loss, you would just get here Hayward so we can drive you to the airport to send you to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and I'll add two other first round picks too. Like, hey, swing the deal. Like, take it all.
Yeah, I don't care. We don't need those draft picks at this moment. So take the 14th, 26th, and 30th pick, Romeo Langford, Tice, and Hayward, and hey, see you later. But at the end of the day too, like, they do need a more veteran presence too. So yes, Miles Turner and Oladipo would fit the timeline from a year standpoint because Oladipo was only 28, and then Miles Turner just turned 24 earlier this year. So he was a first round pick.
28 is still veteran presence on this team.
It is, but it's like but it's amazing how we think that now at 28 that's a veteran guy when it's like, to me that's still young. But they need to get some guys like. Could you imagine if we had got Iguodala at the trade deadline?
Well, yeah, Iggy finals, right? Iggy finals is just a good luck charm wherever it happens. Totally. Yeah, but listen, the problem we had, and you kept saying it, right, and it was true. It's like they weren't, it's like they're just taking perimeter shots. You're just taking perimeter shots, and you drive the basketball. When they drive the basketball, it works. The reason they weren't able to do it all game is like, that's tiring. You know what I mean? Especially when you have such a small presence down low. If you drive and you have a big man there, I mean, I know we don't play basketball like this anymore. I know it's not the 90s.
But you can.
But if you drive and you have a presence in there, the Heat did it to us all series with Bam. They just, if you split the lane and you get that short lane run up, you can just toss it up to him and he'll finish at the rim. We just do not have that at all. Offensively.
They
Cancer kind of.
They didn't use it enough. Rob Williams could be that guy. So
yes, I know you love Rob Williams for his upside, and I love him for his upside too.
He could be that guy, though.
Yes, but he also still has to be on the court to do all the other stuff.
Right. Well, that's on Brad, though. That's on Brad. It's not his fault. It's not Brad.
All right, so hang on a sec. We've talked about the players. We've gone over that first trade rumor with Oladipo and Turner. But let's answer the question right now. 7 years he's been here, Brad Stevens. He just signed a 5-year extension. The answer, let me give you the answer. He's got to get to a finals, right? He's been here 7 years. He's had the opportunity. So to me is to get to the finals. And if he's here for 5 more years, he's got to win an NBA championship. Changing the question of, is he the answer, to can he do it?
He can do it. He hasn't been given his win with this team yet. He hasn't been given his team where they say, like, okay, all the pieces are in place. We don't have anything else to move. This is who you have. Go and win with them. That team doesn't exist yet. We're still a year or two away from it. I know it feels fresh because we just got bounced out, but it's a very long-term project, longer term than I think we've seen in the NBA in recent seasons. We can go one of two, with the exception of the 76ers. We can go one of two ways. We can go 76ers way, where we're firing coaches and we're moving stuff around and like this, that, and the other, or we let the man build to the end and we put all our eggs in that basket because we're already in too deep anyway with Brad Stevens. There's no upside to getting rid of him and having another coach come in here, So I hope so. I hope he's the answer, but like he better be at this point.
All right, Ray, you told us you had the answer. Let's hear it.
Yeah, no, I think that he is the answer, man. Like I said, he pisses me off at times, but he definitely is the answer.
I think every coach pisses us off. I mean, Belichick pisses us off at times, and he's been here 21 years and won 6 Super Bowls. But you can't say that people don't doubt Bill Belichick. So if they're doubting him, you have every right and every
of course.
reason.
I've never been mad at Jurgen Klopp once in my entire life, just for the record.
Well, you know what? I don't think many people can. Have you seen the man? He's a great guy, a wonderful coach. But while we know you've been mad at Mark Trestman and Matt Nagy and all those guys, so
Trestman, wow.
So
yeah, that was a throwback name right there. Jeez.
Right. So we all agree. Brad Stevens is currently the answer. I agree with you, Dave, that you can't move on to someone else. And I mean, we have other teams now. Doc Rivers parts ways mutually. We all know what that means with the Clippers. Steve Ballmer says that it was I kind of believe the guy. Of all the guys in the NBA, he's kind of one of the good guys when he says, we agreed to part ways. You could have Doc Rivers back in the East. And could you imagine, though, all these teams that are – like, yeah, get Doc to New Orleans. Bring Doc to, where else did they have him going? Philadelphia. Could you imagine if people were like, Brad out, Doc in? Could you imagine that conversation? That's not a question. I don't want to go down that road. It's just something that popped into my head, so I'm not going to go there. But here's another trade that was brought up. We brought up the Oladipo and Turner for Hayward and everything else.
Wait. Can we go back 1 second, though? I just want to say one thing about Doc Rivers getting fired. Fully deserved to get fired.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I know we don't have a lot to talk about because it's like you're out. Like even more so than no. Okay, go on, Joe. Go ahead.
All right, one more point on the Celtics, and then I have one overall NBA question. So the last point on the Celtics is another trade was rumored this afternoon. As I'm driving home, I start seeing everything blow up.
Should focus on the road, man.
I was, but when you're listening to the radio and you just. Nope, not going to go into it because I'm going to get myself in trouble. So there was a rumor out there, and this might be a stretch, but Marcus Smart and whatever package it takes, because it clearly can't be a straight-up package, but to Golden State for the number 2 overall pick. I think it's outlandish, but it's a rumor, and it deserves to be talked about because we talked about it in our Slack. And I think we all agree we need a veteran presence, as Ray has said multiple times already in the last half hour. We need a big man.
I can't watch his builds anymore like that. I don't want the second overall pick in the draft, honestly. I don't know how Ray feels, but come on. I mean, how many rookies have we had to wait on?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you don't need to use it, right? So you can trade that away.
More draft picks to trade. There's always going to be a package of draft picks to trade. Like, let's go get players.
But we don't have anything to trade now. And if we trade, so let me ask Ray then. Ray, if we trade Hayward the 14th Tice, and who is the other player? Romeo Langford to Indiana for Oladipo and Turner. Is that enough to keep Marcus Smart here, not even worry about this trade, and just go ahead with the 2021 season or the 2020-2021 season?
Oof. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I still think there would be more work to be done, obviously, but I think that would be a start. You know, you have to me, they need to get rid of Semi Ojeleye too. Like, please. Like, let's just get that. I've held off on that long enough, but I've never seen anyone get more clout off of one series because he guarded Giannis for a few games back in 2017. Like that, God. I'm not going to go there, but he has to go too. But
isn't that how it goes in the NBA?
I don't want the number 2 pick either, like Dave said. But I did write about this, so you can read that article on WordPress. So plug that. But if they are going to go that route, that they use a draft pick. So I would trade. I think Detroit has the number 7 pick. So I would trade with Detroit. If they're not going to get Oladipo Turner, I would trade up with Detroit and talk to them about, hey, for the 7th pick, we'll give you the 14th, 26th, or 30th. Since you're looking to rebuild, and they have to sign Christian Wood, they have to build around Blake Griffin. So there's a lot of pieces they need to fill there.
We do with that 7th pick then.
To get that guy out of Iowa State that I've been telling y'all about. His name is Tyrese Halliburton, like 6'5" guard, 180, shot 50% from the field, 41 from 3.
What are we getting? What are we going to get a guard for? What are we going to get a guard for?
Because I don't think they have a guard off the bench that could do what he does, and it's damn sure ain't Brad Wanamaker. He is not the answer.
Dude, I don't want more guards, bro. I want a big man.
All right,
please.
so what if you
could get that? But I'm saying, like, I think to me he would be the best player available at that spot, because Wiseman's gone. Unless you get the number 2 pick, where you get someone like James Wiseman.
So you're just Belichicking it. You're Belichicking it. You're saying just take the best available player every time.
Take the best player. He's the best player at that spot, in my opinion.
The kid from Memphis, right? That's because that was going to be my final.
Wiseman would be the number 2 pick, in my opinion, behind Anthony Edwards. Yeah.
So you go get Wiseman. So you trade away Smart. You go get Wiseman. You may not get the Oladipo Turner return for Hayward. So you keep Hayward at least until halfway through the season. Maybe trade him, see if somebody will take on the contract for a rental, and then try and sign him back. But now you have the kid from Memphis, you have Hayward, and you have no Smart. Is that a team that's good enough to contend?
Absolutely not.
No,
okay. I agree. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think, and I want to say absolutely not. Just leave it at that. Like, I don't think that's something. Like Danny, he has a irrational love for certain players. Like Rozier was one of them. I'm surprised that he had let Rozier go, so I'm surprised. But I mean, Kemba was an upgrade, obviously, but. Marcus Smart is next in line with that. Like, he loves Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, I think, reminds him of himself from when he played. So I think that's why I don't see Marcus Smart going anywhere unless it was something that just completely blew Danny away. But the issue is, because Danny Ainge has fleeced so many GMs over the years, to me, he backs out of certain deals that might make us better. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, well, if I don't think I can get the best out of, if I can't Brooklyn Nets you, I'm not going to make the deal, and that's the problem. And I think that's prevented us from doing certain things in certain years, because, like, you know what, if I'm not getting the best deal, so to speak, I'm getting $1 million draft picks.
I still love when he does it, though.
Yeah, that's why they call him. That's why they call him Trader Danny.
So many times where he's been kind of, he stood pat, and it's like, no, like, we have a team that could win. Now, if you knew behind the scenes that someone was injured or playing with, not playing the way that you want to play, then you say, you know what, we're not ready, then I get that. But, as fans, we don't know that. We're just saying, like, look, this team is in the top 3 of the East. We need to compete, so, but who knows? But like I said, yeah, I don't think getting the number 2 pick and letting go of Smart changes anything. I just think that if you make that deal for Oladipo and Turner, and then maybe go get like a, I don't know, someone like a Rashawn Holmes from Sacramento, even like a Willie Cauley-Stein out of Dallas, like someone like that could be like a Tyson Chandler, Clint Capella type guy. That would work perfectly in Brad Stevens' defense too.
All right. By the time everyone listens to this, the NBA Finals will be 1 game deep. It's the Los Angeles Lakers against the Miami Heat. The NBA couldn't have scripted it better. Who wins the series?
Lakers by so much.
Lakers in how many?
5.
Lakers in 5, Ray?
I'll say Lakers in 6. I think that Bam's emergence just wasn't with the Celtics series. I think we're going to see him emerge even further. And because he plays so hard, he's going to make AD work hard. And, of course, AD is going to win that matchup. It's Kentucky versus Kentucky there. But AD is phenomenal. But Bam is really starting to catch people's eyes. So
LeBron's got the eye of the tiger right now, though. He's doing that LeBron thing.
I mean, he definitely does. But
there's blood in the water.
Right, but between what Bam has done and then the way that Miami can shoot, that will keep them in a couple of games. So I think that will end up winning them a game. And I think we'll see a more
Lakers have closed so well too. Like we
they have
like,
absolutely.
We kept getting up on them and we couldn't get it done, And it's like the Lakers' ability to close, I think will, because like this the whole narrative surrounding that last series that they were in.
Right.
Because like the Nuggets had come back and it was like, and it was just like, we're not the Clippers. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, right, no doubt.
Like,
so I mean, yeah. So Dave, you say 5. Like I say Lakers winning 6 though.
Yeah.
All right. So Lakers in 5 for Dave. Lakers in 6 for Ray. I can't disagree. I really want to. I really would love to tell you that the Heat are going to win the series just to see LeBron not win, so we could have a narrative and something to talk about in 2 weeks. And without getting into it, we've already talked about LeBron's legacy. So when you're listening to this, go back and download the 7-minute episode that myself, Mike Marcangelo, and Bob Kelly had, the bonus episode from last week on LeBron's legacy. I'm going to have to agree with Ray Sean here and say Lakers in 6. I think it's going to be a fun series to watch. I think both of these teams are good. Miami is fast. They're young. They're very smart. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And the Lakers have LeBron and KD. So that's the way that's going to go. All right, guys. And now it's time for this week's Forrest Gump Award.
The Forrest Gump Award. Beloved American hero Forrest Gump is the namesake for our weekly award show given to one lucky or unlucky member of the sports community. Forrest Gump, a seemingly dumb guy doing smart things, surrounded by seemingly smart people doing dumb things. So, who is this week's dumbest smart guy or smartest dumb guy in the wide world of sports? Your host will decide based on the contributors' nominees. And away we go!
Go! What's your sole purpose in this army?
To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius. That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted, Private Gump.
All right. Appreciate the honors. So, I have to go with the Atlanta Falcons owner, Arthur LeBlanc, however you say it. I guess he was shooting blank. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
it is blank.
So it's amazing to me, or dumb to me, that he's still employing Dan Quinn. How many blown leads do you need, to see before you say, hey, you know what, before we get off this plane, I want to let you know that you're relieved of your duties, or we're going to mutually part ways. So obviously he's smart. You're a businessman. You know how to make money. That's great. But his decision to keep Dan Quinn around, after what happened in Super Bowl 51, what happened against the Cowboys, and now what's happening against Chicago a few days ago, like it's comical. Like he's definitely my nominee and really should be the winner of the Forrest Gump Award this week.
Way to lobby for yourself, Dave. Go ahead.
Wow. That's going to be a tough act to follow, mainly because you had such heavy material with the idiocy that's going on over there at the Atlanta Falcons. When I woke up this morning, I had a surefire Forrest Gump Award nominee, and it was going to be Matt Ryan, because he's the face of that franchise, and he just looks so stupid every time they do that, and it's kind of his fault every time. But I've pivoted since, and I'm actually going to nominate the future record-holding Forrest Gump Award winner, because he's going to win a lot. I'm going to nominate John Gruden. So John Gruden is a really dumb guy, but he did a really smart thing this week. He did a really, really smart thing this week. He decided to blow the game against the Patriots because he had them in his sights. He's 2 games up, running in, sees the Pats. The Pats come out there, look sloppy, You know, Cam can't get it going. First time you've really seen him make some boneheaded, I don't really understand the offense mistakes, which is like still cool, whatever. And Gruden manages to not manage the clock effectively at all, kick field goals when he shouldn't have, do all the dumb John Gruden-y things that you could possibly do to blow a game of football, and then manages to blow the game of football. Gets outcoached by Bill Belichick, no surprise there. And that's a smart thing that John Gruden did because he was up 2 games and people were starting to talk about him. And that little voice in his head that said, you're John Gruden, okay? You're not very smart. You got to get – and then he got fined a big bunch of money, and that little voice was like, you know what? You're in too deep. You got to get some of that attention off you. You got to cruise this team to a nice 10-6 at most, and then go away early in the playoffs because nobody should be asking you any questions. That's a smart man that day, John Gruden. You're my Forrest Gump nominee.
I'm trying to – I don't know if you're a politician or you are John Gruden in disguise trying to throw the Forrest Gump award. So here's my take. Here's my take on both of those things.
He's at least going to be a record holder in nominations.
Well, if you're on the show, absolutely. So here's my thought on Arthur Blank. Lowe's is better than Home Depot. Arthur Blank owns Home Depot. Ray, when we started the season and we did our AFC NFC predictions, I didn't have Dan Quinn. I had the AFC, right? I was on the other side. So I had Zach Taylor as my first coach gone. There are 2 coaches in the NFL that should go long before Zach Taylor. And I'm starting to come around to what Bobby said about Joe Burrow being in Cincinnati. Like, that Cincinnati team is bad, but they don't look awful, if that makes sense, right? So they just extended Joe Mixon and everything else, whatever. We're not really talking about them. We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. I also don't want to put in the Super Bowl against New England where they blew a 25-point lead into this. While it's the same coach, the same owner, the same quarterback, it's not the exact same team. What you have to look at is the fact
somebody's fault, though.
No, absolutely,
somebody's fault.
Right,
it
exactly.
is. But let's talk about
John
right
Gruden's
now.
fault.
It's not John Gruden's fault that the Atlanta Falcons blew a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. That's not true at all. What I see is that Dan Quinn can't close, right? Always be closing, and he can't. So Dan Quinn should be gone for his overall track record. But you're absolutely right, Rayshawn. Like, if we just want to talk about 2020, he should have come in with a short leash to begin with. And he blew multiple 15-point leads in one season. That has never happened in the history of the NFL. 100 years, that has never happened.
But the only person with a longer track record in that organization of blowing championship games and blowing leads is Matt Ryan. And he's got, even back in college against Virginia Tech, he choked.
So are you saying that Matt Ryan should be cut?
I'm not saying I'm not saying he should be cut. I'm just saying, like, if you bring a different coach in, all right, is there a 0% chance that ever happens again? Not with Matty Ice as your quarterback. I love the guy,
Sure.
PC product, but he's just kind of proven that he doesn't have that killer instinct when it comes to, like, putting a game away. Like, that's just never happened to Tom Brady. You know what I mean? I know that's a tough comparison, but, like, or Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees.
So my other point on that is to get back to that. You're absolutely right about those guys. But my other point was about the coaches that I think should go before Zach Taylor. It's Dan Quinn and Adam Gase. And Dan Quinn should actually absolutely be gone. And Ray, we do have to talk about that, right? Because you mentioned how Matt Ryan has done this under multiple coaches, similar outcomes, similar performances, right? Not a bad quarterback, just can't finish. You look at Aaron Rodgers, who's now had multiple coaches in Green Bay and is still the same player, right? But he's just got that killer instinct. So, literally echoing everything Dave just said.
But Gase is the same thing, right? Because, like, his quarterback is just underperforming.
But his quarterback is underperforming because he ruins quarterbacks, and he has a history doing that. So now I'm going to switch gears over to Dave and look at John Gruden. I can understand why you don't like Chucky. It's a scary movie. I don't like horror movies either, but that's no reason not to like a guy because he ruined a Super Bowl for you in 2003 when he beat.
First of all, he didn't ruin a Super Bowl for me. I didn't have a horse in the race. He ruined a Super Bowl for America. So, he
how did he ruin the Super Bowl for America? Make your case.
Was that not the most boring Super Bowl you've ever watched?
I've watched so many boring. So, do you remember the Super Bowl between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals? That
was a chess match. It was a chess match.
No,
And there was
You're gonna get Rayshon fired up.
No way.
There was two dope catches at the end of that.
Right, but no, I'll say this: to me, even though they smacked Oakland, like, which was beautiful for me because everybody was talking shit about what happened the year before with us, the tuck rule. Now I'll go the year before we won when the Giants got demolished by the Ravens. To me, that was probably the most boring. You lost 35-7.
Yeah, but I love that Ravens defense.
I mean, it was
so entertaining to watch.
My God,
so entertaining to watch them just kill people.
Point is, I have to pick a winner.
Whoops.
And the winner.
I'm ready. Drum roll, man. Let's make it happen. Let's go.
We don't need Craig. Insert drum roll here. The winner of the Forrest Gump Award for this week is Rayshon Buchanan and his trade donation.
Yeah, woo!
Yeah, as if you didn't see that coming, John Gruden. Take your mask off. Jeez.
Come on.
So
I'll tell you, I can't believe I lost my first time with my own invented award. What a kick in the balls.
Just want to say thank you and
design the next game
to more wins, baby. Let's get it.
That's right.
Never know what you get out of them.
Both of our Forrest Gump Award nominees were in the NFL, and that's where the second half of the show is going to take us into the NFL, Week 3. Guys, what a week this was from beginning to end. And Dave, let's start with you because this Chicago Bears team interests me so much of the teams with a winning record in the NFL right now. Because you have 2 weeks where Mitch Trubisky goes out and wins them 2 games, essentially, right? Big fourth quarter comeback in week 1. I'm pretty sure he just did it again in week 2. But then in week 3, the narrative changes, and the Bears yank Mitch Trubisky for Nick Foles, and Nick Foles goes out and gets the W. What is going on with your Chicago Bears?
So I think that Matt Nagy's playing 3D chess is what's happening. I think that if you remember, I was backing Trubisky because he came out and said he won the camp. He kind of won the QB off in the defunct, shitty offseason that we had. So I was like, cool, put Trubisky in, maybe we can see something here. I think that Matt Nagy knows he's basically he's got one more quarterback before he gets fired. So I think he's going, I need to take the pressure of Trubisky sitting on the bench and looking at Nick Foles as a narrative out, and I need to pull them at the exact right time. And I think he knew that they were going to come back against the Falcons because the Falcons stink, and they love blowing leads. And I think that he was like, this is when I'm going to get everybody to get fired up for Nick Foles because he's going to come in and win this game. If he lets Trubisky win them the game, that's a tough decision for the next week. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what? He just won us another game. Like, you got to get him in there. And he knows that Trubisky's the guy that's going to get him fired. He can see it in Trubisky's eyes that he's the guy who's going to get him fired. So Nick Foles comes out, throws 3 touchdowns. Should have been 4 because I don't know if you saw that decision. Yeah. But that was trash. They called it a touchdown, and there was no discernible evidence to overturn that into an interception, a touchback. Awful. So fine. They still blew the lead, even though the refs waved off 2 different touchdown throws. One of them was definitely not a catch, but they waved off 2 different touchdown throws. Should have been 4 for Nick on the day. And now Nick's the starting QB. So really good job, Matt Nagy. Way to play that 3D chess. Way to take Mitch out as a factor. The Mitch Trubisky era is over. It was nice having you. It was a cool 45-yard run that you had on Sunday. And bye. Nick Foles all the way.
So we're backing Nick Foles in Chicago. Here's an interesting stat in week 3, including the Chicago Bears. Every team, 28 of the 32 teams in the NFL scored more than 20 points in week 3, with the exception of the Jaguars, the Giants, the Chargers, and the Jets and the Broncos. So 5 teams. I missed out on the Giants because I forgot they were an NFL team. 5 teams don't score more than 20 points. The Dolphins take care of the Jaguars. The 49ers beat up on the Giants without Jimmy Garoppolo, which was amazing to me. The Giants, we look at all these other teams that we think the Jaguars are bad. Both of those teams in East Rutherford, New Jersey are terrible. We had our first tie in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is one I want to jump on because we all talked at the beginning, or at least I talked at the beginning of the season about how bad I thought the Bengals would be. And you guys kind of talked me off the ledge with the, hey, it's Joe Burrow's show, give it time. But let's flip the script here. How bad is that Eagles team? Because not only are they bad, they don't have fans in the stands. And walking off the field on Sunday, the sound guy in Philadelphia booed Carson Wentz coming off the field. How bad is this?
Is that real?
That's real. How bad is this Eagles team?
Really bad. Really, really bad. Yeah, that overtime, I watched it. I don't know how I got stuck on watching that. Like, it must have been some lull in between games watching that overtime between Philadelphia and Cincinnati. It was like watching two blind kids trying to fight each other. It was like they couldn't get anything done. I was like, is no one going to score? You're just going to trip over yourselves until like the game's over? We're going to shake hands and go home? This is pathetic. Like, I've seen ties in the NFL when like two teams like butt heads. You know the way, like, I always make the joke, like if it's a low scoring game, it's like, oh, what is this, the Steelers versus the Ravens? If it's like 5-3,
yeah, like
that's like a Steelers Ravens score line in like the third quarter. But it's like two guys like cancel each other out, beating each other up. We love seeing it. Okay, fine, it's a tie. You know, I'm more okay with ties than probably most of you guys because there's ties in the main sport I watch in soccer, so I'm good with it. But that tie was pathetic.
It was.
Oh my God, they should have been banned from playing the next game. They both should just concede.
More pathetic for Philly. Again. More pathetic for Philly than Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati.
Carson Wentz. I didn't see the whole game of Carson Wentz. It seemed like he had opportunities to throw it all day, and he didn't get it done, and he's just not that good. You know who is good? The guy who won a Super Bowl for that team, Nick Foles.
Oh, Nick Foles, who's now the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. I agree with you. Carson Wentz is the Mitch Trubisky in Philadelphia that's going to get Doug Peterson fired. Ray, let me ask you, because we already heard Dave's take on the Raiders-Patriots game, where he just thinks that John Gruden blew it. Patriots win 36-20 over the Raiders. I think it was a better game for the Patriots than people might give them credit for. So far, they've beaten the two teams that they should, and probably lost to the team that they should lose to. What did you think of the Patriots' offense in this game? Basically, going back to what Dave said about Cam Newton, a couple of interesting decisions. But what was your thoughts on the game plan and the offensive execution?
I was very impressed with how the running game looked on Sunday. Obviously, when you go for 250 yards, I mean, that's college type numbers. So it hasn't happened too often in the NFL. So I was happy to see that. It was good to see Sony Michel get going too. Bob has been probably the biggest, hater of Sony Michel in our group, but take that, Bob. Sony went off on Sunday, so that was a good sign to see. Obviously he's underperformed at times, but hopefully it's something that is a sign to come. J.J. Taylor to me looks like Deion Lewis 2.0, and I hope they find more ways to incorporate him in the offense, because I think that eventually he can be that guy that's, that change of pace back that's really needed in the NFL. So, but more importantly, it was good to see that Cam didn't have to have a game throwing for 350, like 3 total touchdowns for them to win. So to go 17-28 from 162, he had a turnover. So to have a really pedestrian performance like he did in week 1, even though week 1's 155 looked better than the 162, but to be pedestrian as he was on Sunday and they still win by 15, really to me is a good sign. Hopefully they just get better defensively though.
So I have to make some points on that. I still think Sony Michel is on his way out. I don't think Sony Michel is very good. We made Bob made the comment that Nick Chubb went after Sony Michel in that draft. I think that's a good point. I don't think Sony Michel is the answer at running back in New England. I don't think J.J. Taylor's the answer at running back for New England, and I don't think that Rex Burkhead is either. But so here's what I think. I think that they recognized that James White would have been a big help against Seattle, and they used Deion Lewis 2.0, which I really like J.J. Taylor. So don't take my last comment as a total negative. I think he's a hard runner. I think he is able to get to the outside and hit the corner, unlike many running backs in New England have been able to do in the last 2 decades. I think he allows them to be more dynamic, and they do need to get him more involved in the offense. But I think he was a fill-in for James White while he's out. And I think the way they incorporated Rex Burkhead this weekend, and to your point, Ray, brought all 4 of the backs, I'm counting Cam Newton as one of those backs, the way they brought all 4 of them into the game plan and allowed them to run wild. I just don't think the Raiders were ready for Rex Burkhead. I don't think it was a matter of John Gruden blowing the game. I just don't think he recognized that they had Rex Burkhead in the backfield and that he was going to have as big of a day as he had. I don't think he's ever going to have a game that good in his career ever again. But I think when they get James White back, you're going to see this offense click even more. And for them to click as well as they did this weekend and still have those mistakes, because Dave mentioned it in his point earlier about how he made mistakes. He did make mistakes. There was a lot of throws or adjustments in the run game that he made that maybe he should have done something differently, and that was concerning to me. I think James White coming back hopefully next week is going to help that for Cam Newton and that offense. I just don't see room in the offense for 4 running backs when they had to try and incorporate 3 this week. And granted, I think it made it busier for the Raiders than it did for the Patriots, but to have to incorporate another guy in, I think Sony Michel is going to be the odd man out.
I mean, it's a fun offense, it's a fun offense to watch, but it does make you kind of wish, I'm not a Patriots fan, but it does make you kind of wish there was more weapons in there, like real weapons that he could like really exploit and use, like between Cam and Josh McDaniels. But like, yeah, I mean, Sony Michel's not the answer. What were N'Keal Harry's numbers like this week?
Yeah.
Got 2 passes, he didn't score at all. Like, he's so inconsistent for you guys too, and it's like it's sort of the same issues that you had last year. You just have a lot more dynamism at quarterback now, which like Josh McDaniels can work with, but you can still see the same issues. Like the weapons aren't really there. So unless they can kind of figure out this weird special offense that they're running and like win games that like by driving down the field really fast, like close out. I don't know. I still don't see them as going all the way with some of the eliteness that I've seen around the rest of the league.
Well, especially when you have 2 teams in your conference alone in Kansas City and Baltimore. And Kansas City made Baltimore look like a JV team last night or on Monday Night Football this week. And I still think Baltimore is one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah, they're really good.
My early pick for Super Bowl right now going into week 4 of the NFL season is Kansas City and Seattle. I think both of those teams are so far ahead of everybody else. But going back to your Patriots point, I agree. I think this is the negative, right, to me, where Cam Newton can succeed. We've seen it in the NFL. He has succeeded. He's been to the playoff 4 times in 9 years. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been Rookie of the Year. He's been Offensive Player of the Year twice. He's been MVP, right? We know the guy can play, and we know he's a coachable player because every coach he's played for has said that about him. They said that about him at Florida. They said it about him at Auburn. They said Ron Rivera said it about him in Carolina. And
I don't think Cam's going to be your problem, though.
No. But that's what I'm getting to is that Josh McDaniels said it just today about him. But when you look at the pieces that are put around him, I think he needs something closer to top tier at a position, right? He had Greg Olsen for all those years. He doesn't have anything near a Greg Olsen in New England. He had Steve Smith at the beginning of his career at wide receiver. He's got Julian Edelman, but to me, Steve Smith was a better wide receiver in the NFL than Julian Edelman, and he didn't get his due at the end of the day. I mean, that guy probably should have won multiple Super Bowls.
But even receivers, sure. But like, look at what Rodgers is doing in Green Bay. Like he doesn't have a ton of weapons to throw the ball to.
But that's what
he's got the best running back in like that he's ever played with, probably like that I can remember.
Yeah,
he has this backfield weapon and he's just using it and he's like doing a little Tom Brady action like across the like just short little out routes and stuff. You can make that work. What you can't make work is a guy like him just completely by himself.
And that's what I was getting to with that point. And that was kind of my long way around it, was that Cam Newton needs something. He needs that one piece. He needs that Greg Olsen, that Steve Smith, that Christian McCaffrey. He needs that one piece, where Tom Brady a lot of the time made guys that piece, right? We've talked about the 2001 Super Bowl already on the podcast. Go back and check that out. The first championship rewrap that we did, hosted by Bob Kelly. That's on our channel as well. Tom Brady a lot of times did not have a dude. Really, the only times he had dudes on offense was Corey Dillon and Randy Moss. Besides that, I can't point to a guy that was an absolute
Gronkowski.
An absolute superstar. Yes, Gronk is one of the best tight ends of all time.
He's definitely Brady's best ever weapon too.
I think he is his best ever weapon, and I think he's his biggest binky as well, which isn't a bad thing. I don't say that every person needs their binky, right? Long and short of it is, because now I'm trying to get around this, because Craig got in my head by chiming in there with Rob Gronkowski, so those are his big three weapons. So Cam needs one, but the point is I agree with Dave that Cam needs that guy. He needs that dude more than Tom Brady needs that dude.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay, obviously. I mean, who knows? I mean, but like he said in the press conference, which I love that he said that, because I'm not sure that people were expecting that answer from him when they said, "Oh, so what do you think this offense needs, or do you think the guy is in the room?" And he said, "Oh, or who do you think is the next big weapon?" He was like, "Well, it's here in the room." And I love that answer from him, like whether he thought it or not. Like the fact that he actually said that in public was great to me, because I think it gives that confidence. And we've talked about N'Keal Harry in the past, but I feel like he is someone that I think is adapting to how Cam leads as opposed to how Brady led last year. And hopefully that's something that is a sign of the future, that he does start to grow. Like I said, you're right, Dave. He has been inconsistent right now, so that's the unfortunate part. But hopefully he is someone that can be that weapon. When you're 6'4", 225, I mean, obviously the sky should be the limit, but it hasn't been the case so far. So, hopefully, it turns around going forward. So we'll see.
So two more questions for you as we get through the NFL here. And the first one is, a week after the New England Patriots were one play away from beating the Seattle Seahawks, we saw Bob Kelly's Dallas Cowboys come within the same realm, right? They were so close against Seattle this week. And despite the loss, is this a good Cowboys team?
I thought you were going to keep talking.
No, that was it.
I thought it was a joke. That's why I paused.
No, yeah. Well, hang on. Let me make the point.
Cowboys and good doesn't go together. So I thought it was a joke. I was waiting for the punchline.
Well, let me make the point. And the only reason I bring this up is because we saw the Patriots lose to Seattle, and so let me rephrase this question. We saw the Patriots lose to Seattle a week ago. We saw Dallas lose to Seattle this week. Dallas is without a doubt going to win that NFC East. I'm going to say it right now, because the NFC East is absolutely terrible. Washington is bad.
Atrocious.
Philly is bad. New York is terrible. I don't see it going any other way. I guess what my other question or my basic question is, Seattle beats both of these teams. Put New England against Dallas in a one-off. Who wins?
Depends on the context and the situation. If it's next week, I'd say Dallas has a really good shot at winning because nothing's on the line. If it's the Super Bowl, because that's the only actual game of stakes they could play, or like they both needed a win to get into the playoffs maybe at the end of the regular season, I think New England wins every single time, because it's the same story.
Belichick beats McCarthy?
No, because Dallas as an identity are just kind of losers, man. And like, I'm sorry to say that, but
Bobby's going to rip you so hard.
They are, though. It's the thing, it's I made him mad in the Slack because I was talking shit about Tony Romo as a quarterback, and he got so mad. I love you, Bobby, but like Tony Romo is 0 for 2 in the playoffs. Like that's his numbers. He's not a winner, but that's not his fault. That's the Cowboys' fault. When you go to the Cowboys, you lose when it matters.
I love it.
I love it.
Craig,
That's a great response. I love it.
Craig, if you can isolate Rayshon's little deep tone laugh there, and we can use it for a Halloween episode, that would be great. All right,
please do.
Final NFL question, because we're starting to get a little slow here. The best 3-0 team in the NFL. We have the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas
Chicago
City
Bears.
Chiefs,
Next question.
the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me start over, so you can't interrupt me. I'm going to read the AFC teams first. The Bills are 3-0, Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans. I can't believe that in the NFC East. The Seattle Seahawks are 3-0. The Green Bay Packers are 3-0. The Chicago Bears are 3-0. Who is the best 3-0 team in the NFL right now? Really, the best 3-0 team, Dave.
I'll
really
start.
The best? Okay, go ahead.
I'll start. Yeah, because we know what you're going to say. I mean, it has to be Kansas City. I mean, if we have any other answer right now, it's. I mean, either because you're a fan or you just don't like Mahomes, which is fine. But he's that team is phenomenal. And like you said, Joe, earlier in the show, they made Baltimore look like a JV team. And I said on a previous show, I don't see this team losing. And to me, it's Kansas City by far.
Follow-up question. Who's the biggest surprise 3-0 team?
Oh, Chicago.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Well,
that's real. That's real though. Like you couldn't have told me at the beginning of the season that they would start.
I did tell you.
You said it because you're a fan. But I mean, come on. But it's just like realistically speaking, sir. I didn't think that Chicago would be 3-0. But I mean, hey, give them credit and then give credit to Matt Nagy for doing what they should do from the jump, which is pretty.
All jokes aside, the Bears are of course the biggest surprise 3-0 of the season, but it's not as big of a surprise when you look at their strength of schedule across the first 8 games. I mean, they just didn't.
They haven't beaten anybody.
And I feel like that might have been part of Nagy's plan too. He's like, we got a soft schedule. Let me just throw Trubisky in there. If he fails against these joke teams, like whatever, let me try and salvage the season. But regardless, it's of course it's Kansas City. In the NFC, I think it's a little bit of a toss-up, like who's the best 3-0, but probably the Seahawks. I think they look really good, but Packers, sleepy good. Mm-hmm. Because like I know Aaron Rodgers is going off and he's the conversation, but that Packers team is actually really good. Like what's his name? Aaron Jones, very good running back. He's an absolute beast. So yeah, they're sneaky good.
I mean, I think as we head into the quarter pole of the season here into week 4, quarter pole, that's a little horse racing.
Wow.
Vernacular.
We give you everything on this show, baby.
That's right. So a question. That's right. I have to agree with you that the most surprising team is the Chicago Bears, but I think you're right. I do like Matt Nagy. I think he's kind of one of those mediocre coaches that can get the job done. And for our second Mark Trestman drop.
Mediocre.
He is mediocre. Come on.
He helped build that Kansas City offense that you laud so much. How can you leap from the lily pad?
Well,
the Kansas City Chiefs are the most amazing offense.
Because he's not there right now. He was
the architect to that. He was the brains of the operation.
That's great. And so was here. Well, shoot, that's not going to help my point. That's going to help your point. So was Tony. So was Tony Dungy for the Buccaneers team that won the Super Bowl with the coach that will remain unnamed. But the Seahawks are by far the best 3-0 team in the NFC. And I say by far because I think that's going to be the team that goes to the Super Bowl. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Packers can't take down the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. I just think the playoffs are going to be so much fun this year because I think
the Seahawks real quick, they have the strongest 3-0. Like they have the meatiest 3-0.
Without a doubt.
Anybody in the NFL, including the Chiefs, I think that they got pushed. I think that there was a lot of wild card factors in the games that they were playing, like a new Cam Newton, like all this crazy stuff could have happened to them, and they saw it off. So I'm saying that's the strongest 3-0 for them, even though I don't think that they would beat the Chiefs.
No, they're not the best team, but they're the strongest 3-0, right? So again, we're only going into week 4. But I like the NFC like right now. after 3 weeks, which is so early. Packers and Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. You have the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and see what happens, because I think it's just going to make for a lot of fun and a great narrative coming into the end of the NFL season. So we've gone on for a little over an hour here, and as we come to a close, I would like to go around the room to everybody with their final points of the evening, and I will start with Dave Clark.
I'm legitimately shocked. The most shocking thing that happened, I think, this week was yesterday on Monday, recording this on Tuesday. Yesterday, the coach of the Falcons did not get fired. That was the most shocked that I was all week, and probably will remain. And it's crazy, and it's an absolute. Ray was right to win the Forrest Gump award in this one, because it's a dereliction of duty to not fire him. And that's all I've got.
Ray Sean.
I haven't been on the show since we posted about going over 1,000 downloads. So just, thank you for those that have listened. We hope and pray that you continue to listen to a lot more. We have a lot more content to give. And, we are working our asses off to, give you the best content possible. So, we appreciate the listening. We appreciate the downloads, and just continue to spread the word. So, once again, just thank you, and just continue to listen. Nothing else. We talked about Doc. I talked about it on a different thing where I said I wasn't shocked that he got, fired. And, he deserved it. So you hear me, Mike. I'm saying that he deserved it. I'm not defending it. He deserved to go.
He means your signature sign off.
Well, got you. Well, that we know what needs to happen, and like I said, they have not done it. It doesn't seem like they're going to do it, but we do know that they need to handle that situation when it comes to Breonna Taylor. That we still need justice for her. So I'll make that clear and plain. So I appreciate that y'all brought that back up, because that is true. Like I said, a settlement is not enough, so we still need justice for her. So, I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, guys. And my final thought for the week has to do with NFL Week 3 and the NFL as a whole. We've gone over records every week. We've talked about the Patriots. We've talked about every other team in the league and who our surprise is. We have the New England Patriots sitting at 2-1, the Chicago Bears sitting at 3-0, Dave's Cowboys sitting at 2-1. But we all know who the best teams in the NFL are through 3 weeks. And as we head into the quarter poll, I said it while we were talking about the NFL, my favorites to go to the Super Bowl right now are the Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to stick by that, and that will be my final thought for the night. My last thing to say this week during this recording is the first presidential debate, and I have to tell you, no matter how it turns out, who wins the debates, go out and vote for who you believe should be the next president or the president of the United States. And that'll do it for our EP, Craig D'Alessandro, for Dave Clark, Ray Sean Buchanan. My name is Joe Malkin. This has been episode 9 of the SNSW Podcast. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next week.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. What did you do on your last Saturday night?
Did you hear something?
Toilet paper.
There's none. Nada. The reserves have gone dry. People are hoarding it. I should have done that.
They're all out of hand sanitizer at my Target.
Mark, when did you last watch the news?
We are getting reports of forced quarantines in China, Japan, and now Italy.
You're cutting onions in half and putting them around your apartment.
Yes, exactly. It kills the COVID.
Excuse me?
Let's go. Let's go. Get in.
Vamos, rápido.
Have you ever driven one of these?
Never.
I'll drive, ladies.
I've got the keys.
Excuse me, I'm lost. I'm looking for my wife. I got turned around.
Join me, Eric Roberts, Jennifer Elise Cox, and Ed Asner for The Last Saturday Night, an Electrocast podcast. You'll love it. Electrocast. Electrocast.